Caricom nations, with the exception of 3 member states, will for the next 2 days hold discussions relating to the Treaty for the Prohibition of Nuclear Weapons, since the topic is yet again on the international agenda. Treaty Coordinator of the International Campaign to Abolish Nuclear Weapons, ICAN, Celine Nahori, speaking at the opening ceremony, highlighted that the risk of countries using nuclear weapons is on the rise and warned that the use of nuclear weapons can have catastrophic effects to every part of the planet.
To some, this might seem an issue for nuclear armed states only. After all, the Caribbean has already agreed to ban nuclear weapons in its region. Yet, the use of nuclear weapons anywhere would have disastrous consequences everywhere. Destruction, death, climate disruption, famine, and a resulting refugee crisis that would ripple throughout the Caribbean and the world, decimating our lands and seas and threatening the very survival of humanity. In view of these catastrophic consequences, all regions and people have a stake in advancing international humanitarian law and the elimination of all weapons of mass destruction.
Ghana was the first country to sign and ratify the Treaty for the Prohibition of Nuclear Weapons. Caribbean countries have played an integral role in the process that led to the negotiation and adoption of the treaty and voted unanimously to adopt the treaty and were among the first to sign on to it. Foreign Secretary of Ghana, Carl Greenidge, said with some countries around the world taking a step back after signing international agreements to disarm their nuclear capability, tensions are rising when issues between states escalate, and it is a great cause for concern.
At the present juncture, a greater burden has been placed on states that do not possess nuclear weapons to address the leadership deficit that has resulted in the stagnation of the nuclear disarmament agenda. Yes, a leadership deficit. This is the context in which the Treaty on the Prohibition of Nuclear Weapons, the TPNW, should be seen. It is a response, indeed an adequate and effective response, to decades of no meaningful action that would create a world free of nuclear weapons. Distinguished delegates, Guyana is committed to a world free of nuclear weapons.
Folade Mutota, coordinator of the Caribbean Coalition for Development and Reduction of Armed Violence, speaking with Nightly News, said the treaty is important for protecting the lives of people in the region.
There are 50 states that are needed by September to have this treaty come into effect, and it is important that Caricom continues its leadership on this matter by joining the treaty very, very early and making sure that we stand among the 50 states that give life to something that we passionately believe in and have worked for. So that as Caricom NGOs, we are going to be lobbying our governments to see to what extent we can have a fair amount of representation within the first 50 states that join this treaty. And this is a good start. This meeting here in Guyana, we have good representation from across the region. I think it's just 2 of our countries that have not been able to attend, but we have very good representation and we hope to build on that.
Following a decade of advocacy by ICAN and its partners, an overwhelming majority of the world's nations adopted a landmark global agreement to ban nuclear weapons, known officially as the Treaty on the Prohibition of Nuclear Weapons. It will enter into legal force when 50 nations have signed and ratified it, which includes CARICOM member states. For the HGB Nightly News, Calvin Abrams.